Hey everyone, it's Krista. We're back again. So I've got the laptop. Oh, you can see it. Check it out. Yeah, we're going to be doing this fuel tank. It's for Ducati MH900e. That's the Mike Hillwood tribute bike, MH900 Evoluzione. And so the original fuel tank is like from here back, and then we have our tank made such that you can remove the air box, put pod filters underneath onto the throttle bodies, and then we use this space for more fuel. Additionally, since the stock batteries are pretty miserable, we made this shelf for the typical Ducati battery of the same era, um, the YT12BES Yuasa. So this is how the tank comes out of the mold. It's got lots of flash because, the molds don't exactly close everywhere perfectly. It has a whole bunch of fittings. This is the 30th one of these tanks I've made here in Georgia. So that's pretty cool because, we're still selling these 20 years after the bike was made. One of the things I did once we started making the tanks here in Georgia was I looked at problems we were having with the mold and reliability of parts. So there had been occasionally a leak here and occasionally a leak here. It turns out there was porosity in the mold that would let air through, and it was inconsistent. Sometimes it would cause a leak, sometimes it would not. Worse, these manifest either immediately or years down the road. So I drilled the hole out and then I threaded and tapped it with a screw and a copper crush washer on the exterior of the mold. Then also the space between here and this inside corner and inside the battery, you can't see in there. There we go, you can still start to see the floor. Well, anyway, that point is really close right here. And so whenever you have something under, say, 2.5 times your wall thickness, you're going to run into inconsistency. So this gap is pretty tight. It's about twice wall thickness. So even still, you're going to have the flow trying to touch itself, and then you don't know what's happening. So the first thing I do is I'm going to probably plug this with my thumb and blow just to do a real quick test that this doesn't have a blowout. Then I'm going to go after it with an X-Acto knife. Then we'll rig the pressure test rig on to block the 2 vent holes. And with that, we'll know that the tank has integrity. Then we go about prepping all of the different places where we need holes for interfacing. So we have like outlet, inlet of the fuel level cylinder unit. This is the flange that holds the fuel pump. And on the top, we're going to drill the filler neck, which is a real pain, and then we're going to drill the vent. And then once all that's done, I go with an X-Acto or a hobby knife and I trim all of the raised areas. All right, so let's get some glasses and a hobby knife and check in there. This view sort of works. I'm not quite as washed out as usual, so that's nice. I should probably get gloves. gloves really help with the sharp edges. It protects my skin. And believe it or not, the nitrile gloves are pretty good about taking one for the team if I were to try to stab myself or cut myself with a tool. So yeah, the second change where this gap is very close, I added a large bolt through from the outer mold to the inner mold. And so that was kind of scary, you know, like setting up one of our first tools on the mill and going after it with a drill and then various other devices of torture. So pretty much bubbles are the enemy of molding, or the enemy of molding tanks. I mean, if you're not wanting to hold fluid, it doesn't matter. There are voids. And so just along the edges of this opening, I carve around with the hobby knife. I check for bubbles. Like there's almost always some kind of bubble here or there. And we just make sure that they're truly superficial. Now this part I have to see through the light. So I put the windows behind me and I look through. Oh wow, you can see the hole down there. That's kind of cool. Oh, there's a little bit of a bubble here, so that might be bad. We'll see. Pretty much there's three places where if we get a bubble, it could be bad, and then there's all the rest of them, it's pretty irrelevant because of what else is nearby. I know that doesn't make sense, but pretty much there's gasoline around this box, and we can't have any passages through to the inside of the tank. So I'm just kind of like going after this one corner to try and prove to myself that it's happening or not. And then you say, well, what if you cut a hole through to the inside? Well, then the tank is bad, isn't it? Nominal thickness on this is 1/4 inch, so pretty much you can't just take an X-Acto knife and kill these tanks. So it's not really exhibiting what I'm used to when there is a problem. See. I wonder if I could make it to where you could see. Because then I could see via the Oh my gosh, talk about coordinating 80 things. Okay, I don't have enough hands. I don't know. You can't zoom like that. All right, let's try picking that forward part and then we'll call it good. It looks like what little bubbling there was from, it was just between two walls of the inside here, which is great. That's what we want. We don't want the bubbling like on an important surface where there's gas behind it. Sometimes I'm right-handed, sometimes I'm left. It's tricky. Bye-bye. So it was kind of cool to do this mod to the tank because that was like my first real act of being a tool maker. All right. Okay, so let's throw them in there. Definitely has a good seal. I need to trim down this raised up stuff. Oh, am I fuzzy? Well, that's annoying. How about if I move over here? Man, we'll see what I end up doing for the channel. Like, I really like live the best because I'm so ADD and I'm so bad at organizing that I really don't do well with, say, recording and then editing. It's not an excuse. It's just I don't do it. So each of my tanks has a toolkit. This is the toolkit for the MH900e, and it's all the pieces and parts I need. That are special to this tank. I do need a post. Only the most common screwdriver there is. I was watching, I think it's Wrench Every Day channel. He was talking about his tools. And, like when I started wrenching, oh gosh, it wasn't when I started wrenching. I mean, I first hung out at a bike shop in like 1988. And they had snap-on tools. So I knew what they were. I never bought them. And then I had, like the Craftsman stuff I put together when I was in the Navy. And then I went to college and I started work at Cycle Works, when it was an independent repair shop. And then I got spoiled by the tool truck. So I've had this screwdriver since like 94. It was when they first came out with the little grippers on it for the flank drive. All right, and then I have my test rig. Seal off the other opening. So pretty much all of manufacturing is arts and crafts. You just need to get the dang job done and whatever it takes. And so when you see a really amazing production on a show, like how it's made, a lot of the machines, they're on their third or fourth iteration where they got done with the how it's made arts and crafts part. Okay, here. Dang it. I've got you trapped. I need to untrap you. There we go. Okay, now I need to raise you up. How's that? All right, that might work. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay. Yeah, you're right there. So let's check it out. There's the keyboard. Anyhow, so much of manufacturing is really just arts and crafts, get her done, whatever it takes. And folks would just be astonished how much of reality really does depend on that. So that's the part of like YouTube I love is seeing kind of the behind the scenes of reality. I also watch Millennial Farmer and Laura Farms. Millennial Farmer is a little heartbreaking, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it just is so maddening, the stuff he's being pushed through. Okay, this end up. So we put this block in here because the sides of the battery want to crush in. Oh, that says back block. Okay. And the sides are a little bit thinner, so we're not exactly wanting it to swell. So we put those in. For testing our tanks, I came up with this fun little gauge. Oh, I meant to check and see why it's flipped. Oh well. Because this is backwards, right? It goes from 0 to 5. Yeah, see, on your eyeballs, you want it to go this way to go up. So yeah, it's still backwards. Yeah, backwards. Okay. So we have a 5 psi regulator. This is the air tip for the shop. It's the industrial. We have a needle valve for gradually opening. Then I have a proprietary kind of connector on here so that hopefully we won't put shock air into a tank because then it's going to blow up. My fancy air distribution system here. Real quickly builds pressure. That's a good sign. And these stupid green fittings leak a little bit. Yeah, I close the valve to the tank, and then it just goes to zero. So it leaks between the green fittings. I'm glad I don't depend on those. All right. Hey, interesting. I might be able to move the tank over someday so you all can watch that. And my family helped me get rid of the refrigerator that was abandoned in the shop. That's interesting. Okay. The back wall didn't flex at all, so that's nice. Bubbles this way. No bubbles anywhere, and that's very good. So now we can continue on with the preparations of the tank to make it usable for the customer and to make it socially acceptable without razor blades all around or serrated knives all the way around its perimeter. This tank is going to Europe. That doesn't really mean anything special since a lot of our products go overseas. You know, like if there was a level of choice for, well, if we're worried about something, but that doesn't really happen here because if we're worried about a product, we don't ship it. A little test block can come out. I really need some kind of stand I can put this on. That's so obnoxious. There's wood over there. Will that work? Oops, we need to point you back down. Okay, that's a little better. All right. Yeah, if y'all ever like try to make me popular, I might go back and start watching these again to see what I'm doing right. But you know, I got like 5 or 15 years before that happened, so that's fine. And I use the same O-ring that the factory uses for that. Now we'll set out all of the tools we're going to use in the next steps. And then I'll put them back in the backwards order. This interface up here has a flat gasket from the factory. So I just went and found some kind of rubber gasket at the hardware store, and I used that. Some kind of toilet gasket, I don't know. And so there's a raised up plastic faith O-ring that smashes against the flat of the rubber. Well, this might be interesting. I don't know. Okay. So y'all are touching the table. So let's make you not touch the table. There we go. Okay. Possibly the most critical operation we're going to do is right here, cutting where the fuel pump goes. Better like this. Why, yes. Yes, it would work better like that. We'll use this hole saw. I put it on the lathe. I think it was the lathe. And then I went after it with, I think I just held a Dremel against it. So saws have skip teeth where they go in and out, and I remove the outside teeth. It makes for a slightly more consistent cut and a little less scary when it comes to this edge. I've worked this particular chunk of aluminum a few times. The holes are not really well done. This is our first rotational product. We weren't taken very seriously. There had to be a few revisions to the tank, and so these are not in ideal locations, but they're functional. And then I created a recess that you can't see, not barely. I created a recess to try to protect that ring. So what I'll do is I'll use my glasses and see if I think there's a side that is favored more than another. And then I'll kind of angle to the safe way a little bit if there is bias. I mean, there's no such thing as anything being even, so there is going to be bias in some direction. So our guard is on there, and there's no way on God's green earth we would try this without a shield, because it would skip across that and slice the sealing surface, and that would be bad. So what I do with my glasses? There they are. All right, so I think we're going to kind of try to angle to the back just a little bit. It's going to get noisy because we're going to run the vacuum and the drill. What makes some of these really challenging is that, look how thick it is for one, but also we're going along the edge of all four of those inserts. And the way inserts work is that the plastic forms a bump around each insert. So here's your typical insert, back the same size as those, 5 millimeter. And this is how rotational molding works, is that you keep your continuous thickness everywhere. So even where there's something sticking out, it makes a little home around it. So when you go through the edge of one of those, that makes it more difficult. And then missing the skip tooth function of that means means it has to do more work. Make you a little taller. We're gonna fix your level. This might be loud. Okay. Oh, and then there's daylight happening. You need to point back more. There we go. So I think we did pretty good on this one. Yeah, but yeah, the skip tooth being gone makes it work extra hard trying to get through the plastic there. So if it seemed like there was a struggle, it's real. That's just beautiful. There's just the hint of the lip. We're giving bias that direction, so that's good. So now we're gonna real carefully dress the opening we created. So you have to have really good precision with your tool or tool discipline. You don't necessarily need precision, but you need to keep the tool from leaving where you're working, because if you scratch across that seal, you're going to need to fix that scratch. And I'm just taking off the sharp edge of the cut. Perfect. All right. Let me think. I think this is the next one before we change what's in the drill. So we'll flip the tank over. Do you want to do that now? Maybe we'll do it after. I've got the tank bolted down so well. Let's do the rest of the work here now. The next operation, we're going to take this step bit and go down. And then I have a go and a no-go painted. So we just go down until the red is above there. Once I identify tools for a specific task, we purchase them and they're dedicated to that task. So all of these cutting things stay in there and they don't get used for anything else. the step bit does a pretty good job not making a mess. So I'll just go without the vacuum. All of these tools for this process I've developed here in Georgia. When the previous people did these, I have no idea what they did to pull this off. They were inconsistent, and we would occasionally get feedback from customers that something wasn't right. And so I went over original notes from years and years and years ago, and we do keep a couple of bad tanks for just in case. And then I came up with all the steps for these various fittings. The rotational industry is incredibly informal about everything they do. They would just put their thumb in each of the vent holes and dunk it with some air, see if it bubbled or not. You know, it's like I dunk it and then I check to watch for, I watch for a moment in the idle water to see if there's bubbles happening. It's just I act like I care. It seems to help. I think this tank's design was a little bit of a rush job. Anecdotally, I believe Moto was tasked with building these bikes, possibly with creating the fuel tanks and the molds, who knows. But Moto is stamped in the frame. This was a bit of a crazy time at Ducati when this model came out. And I think they just asked Moto to handle it, and they did. It wouldn't surprise me at all. It did. Great attention to detail, though, in the build. Oh, top vent hole. That's not this one. This is a sealed pass-through that just has 4 wires. These two are flat, I guess you'd call them bulkhead mounts with 1/4-inch NPT threads on the outside, and then just the 2 holes to mount them, and then they use O-rings for sealing. We're going to go ahead and do vacuuming this time. That just takes forever. Because again, we're going through the sides of those two inserts. And I probably did get rid of the skip teeth on this as well, so it would have the tighter hole. We all love a tighter hole. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the skip teeth are there. You can't go too fast, or the plastic kind of gums up, and that's no good. There is a center punch here, so we've got a guide mark for where to start. There's just really not much room for error in these. I try not to smash it all the way through, but it kind of caught me off guard. Thankfully, this is all pretty safe. We almost had a failure upon pulling out. Oh no, but we're safe. We didn't tear up that surface. If I did wreck the surface, I've got another plate with O-rings. We would then condition the surface, meaning sand it until it did seal. These tanks cannot be recycled, so it's really the best practice to do everything you can to make a part good. Okay, we're going to go do the top next. And those are the cores there, shiny on the inside. Normally I have music playing, but we don't want to, oh, I don't need that. We don't want to get yelled at for playing music for other people, so we can't do that. So you're stuck hearing me talk to myself like a mad person. Now let's just dress up the streamings on the openings. Give a more professional appearance. Okay, pretty good. We'll be spending a lot of time trying to get the little bits out of the tank, because even with the vacuum, there's lots of debris inside. You kind of can't help it. Oh yeah, we can check. Well, dang, we need to make that fit. in my tummy. I actually stopped, and then that left a step on 2 of these. Where the mound goes. There we go. That's a pass. Make sure the fuel cap seals. It stops. This is a direct copy of the stock cap. We cast it in resin. Sadly, the molds were lost when we moved from California, but I have a copy. I could copy the copy. We're going to probably get into investment casting replacement caps because those are not available at all. All right, do we need... No, that's good. Okay. So that's another very important surface to protect because it seals. That's the cap, the filler cap. You can see this? Yes, okay. All right, we need yours again. 2 more vacuum drilling sessions and then we're trimming with the knife. Hi, thanks for stopping in. Yay. Yeah, it's for the Ducati MH900e. And so it only has like an 80-mile range stock. And then this lets you go to a gas station 120 plus miles, no problem. I'm gonna have to make this thing a freaking guard. Dang it. So yeah, that's why we make guards to protect those from me. So we made an ouchie. This one, I'm gonna go double check pictures. This one's actually not a very critical surface, believe it or not, because this entire ring has a piece of rubber. So I'll probably just deck the whole thing with a plane sander or planer. This was actually one of the biggest head scratchers of the product. It's the vent, and it just has a big flap of rubber that sits on this. And the surface is super textured and rough, and it's like, how does that seal? But yeah, we're gonna need to take a depth sander to that. I don't know if I have it here or not. I might have stole it at the house. All right, let's go down to the next one. This one has a guard. I'm really disappointed by that. That's the first time I've messed up that hole. That's what she said. Bugger. I'm just really sad about that. Yeah, I really don't like this drill. I'm gonna have to get one of the brushless ones. Initially, we bought a set that had a brushless drill and the brushless impact. We need to just go and buy the right kit because this is dumb. I mean, I tried to save money and I bought a $30 thing, and now I might have wrecked like $100 tank or $900 tank. So now I'm gonna have to spend some time conditioning this to make it flat. I'll double check with the instruction manual, but I'm pretty sure even where it's got its problem, it's not going to be an issue. But we'll definitely. Looks like we have to make it a little bit flatter everywhere, and that's fine. Dang it. So yeah, that's great too. The guy managed to be a little bit off center. Still will seal no problem. Nice. Something's kind of tricky because it has, this middle part and you're going through the wall. That just gets annoying. I'm just really hugely disappointed with that little boo-boo there, and that's kind of sad. So we'll end up getting another chunk of rubber, and then a cover for that. I don't think I have a cover, so we're gonna need the whole pattern anyway for the guard, and we'll come up with a cover, and then we'll find a chunk of rubber, and then once I'm done with that, we're going to retest it because that's a pretty functional change, and we need to verify that it's definitely good before we ship it. You don't just go full send here. You have to make sure it works. So this is the process for trimming the flash. I just kind of drive along where it sticks out. And maybe I'll bring you down for this so you get a little closer view. All right. Well, that's a weird angle. Should we fix you and make you a little less? Ah, okay. That was probably loud as F. All right. So the mold has a pretty big gap up here. These people that the ones that made this tool are fairly, I don't want to talk trash. I mean, it's easy to say fairly primitive. It gets the job done. They don't need to care about a perfect seal. They're very busy. The foundry and molder who makes these, they're a one-stop shop. So they do the design of the plug, which is a piece of wood that's oversized. Then they do sand casting of the plug to make each of the mold sections. Let's give this piece here a little more. There we go. And then they also do the rotational molding itself. Can you even see this? You can't really even see this. But this company, they're in Southern California. They do like the IMS tanks. They do a lot of R&D work for like K&N. They probably do Clark tanks for dirt bikes. I'm pretty sure they do IMS and Clark because I've seen, like in their fab shop when they had our bikes, they had, like next year's dirt bikes. That was pretty cool. Their guys were kind of stoked to get in street bike stuff because, they always do dirt bikes, and I told them to do a good job, not necessarily do it yesterday, so it took like a year. And it happens. Is that a Mitzi kitty? Meow? Meow? Is that a Mitzi kitty? Can you see Mitzi kitty? Meow? There's a Mitzi kitty. Meow, meow. Princess Mitzi kitties. Meow. How you doing? I got it blocked off so that stupid boy Elliot won't come swat at you. Hi, welcome to not the offices. She's kind of working on getting used to being here. Shop cats, cats do really well in the shop setting. They are appropriately skittish of things, and then they build their own comfort with what you're doing. Mitzi is a new addition. Her initial mom got moved and wasn't able to take her, so she was at a place and then they moved, and so we care about Mitzi's initial mom, so we took her in hoping it would be okay. So far, I mean, it's sort of okay. Our normal cat Elliot's a bit of a jerk to her, so I'm just sort of hoping they'll figure it out. I don't think she's really stressed, so, you know, she kind of does her own thing, and we sort of keep them separated a little bit. I mean, they have access to each other normally, even when we're gone. And neither of them have showed up with bloodstains, so I think part of it too is Elliot shows off when we're around, when the people are here. So we try to discourage negative behavior while we're here to witness. There's a little bit of a ridge. So I think fixing the oops is going to be a separate video. I don't know if we have the stuff here on hand to do that. And so we've been here at least an hour, well, an hour, 10 minutes. This tank would be ready to ship had I not. I hate that tool has no finesse. The brushless one has finesse. So we're going to have to take care of that because that's no good. It tried to make me wreck another tank before, and it's just, that's no good. All right, let's put this between my legs. I'm just trying to make this part here even. There's a fairly large gap. So I just try to make it a smooth in appearance and no sharp edges. So another thing I do, I use the hand with the handle to change the angle and to push down. And then the other hand drives the forward motion. And that helps me have a consistent, predictable cut. So when I do it without the other hand, you start losing control of the angle, and then you have this flyaway at the end. It just doesn't make a good result. Yes, it's cross-linked polyethylene, same as the Baja dirt bikes. So a lot of times the Baja tanks are a clear-ish, which is natural, or you can have colors compounded for you. And so we get black. The Clark tanks are black, I think, typically. I don't know what IMS has been doing. I haven't really looked at them in 20 years. Here I am, a rotational molder, and I haven't even paid attention to somebody in the industry. I should probably connect with those folks and be like, hey, if you want someone on the East Coast working, throw me some bodies to be labor and money, and then you can use my machine. If I wasn't old, I'd do it, but honestly, it's all I can do to keep up with our own work. I'm not going to be doing work for other people. So, Chalks, what's your name? I see you a few times. I feel weird calling you Chalks. And those Chalks is okay. But I don't know if you were there when the stupid bit skipped out of the vent hole and I gouged up the surface. So we're going to need to do an oopsie repair on that. And I think the oopsie is going to be a different video. I'm not sure if I have the sander I need for that. And that was up here. Come on, focus. I put my face there. Does that help? No? Oh, yeah, okay. Now you can see the gouges. So the drill came out and went, whoops. So we'll be making a guide plate for that. And then while making a guide plate, we'll also be making a test plate because I want to make sure it seals before we send it to the customer. But that one's like the least critical of all the surfaces, believe it or not. A piece from the factory has a big wide rubber seal and it seals on this creepy textured surface so well. I just need to get the gouges out and then that'll be fine. It's not like where O-rings go. Where O-rings go are pretty freaking, they're picky. You'd be shocked what they will seal against, and then you'll also be shocked at what they won't. You're like, well, that's not cool. That's hard. That's more work. And sure enough, it is, and I do that. All right, this is, I think, oh, we have to trim around here. Gosh, that just breaks my heart. We probably could have shipped this today. Thankfully, I have a lot of experience making tanks seal up, so I'm not real worried. The gouge might be a little bit deep, but it's contained within the circumference of where the fitting goes, so we'll just deck that down a little bit. It'll be fine. It'll be just a matter of trying to make the finish look attractive and not horrible. A little off my game today. Lyndon. Dr. Lyndon B. Johnson. Well, nice to meet you, Lyndon. So yeah, I think another problem too, I don't know if you're here when I was talking about it, but the original drill we had, we bought the kit with the drill and the driver. And so let's take this big heavy battery out. Let's definitely take this out because I need to throw this drill away. So we initially bought the kit that came with brushless impact driver and drill. They were both brushless. I'm gonna tip you up. Sorry about the noise. Okay. No, there's still no head. I gotta give you head, right? Gosh, I'm terrible. So yeah, we had a brushless driver and drill. Um, the drill quit working on forward, and sadly, the switch mechanism really doesn't lend itself to being repaired. I tried. I'm pretty good at salvaging things, taking things apart and not ruining them. But it really just, I couldn't see where there was an obvious problem. And I couldn't see a way to just hardwire it forward and get it back together correctly. It was just like, wow, that sucks. Now, so I bought the brushless ones because um, the Impact has 3 speeds, which works awesome on molds because I usually use it on 2 for everything. And then to loosen those 1/2 inch bolts with the 3/4 head, I put it up on 3, and it almost always gets them. So if you tighten on 2 and then move to 3 to loosen, I never have to get out a breaker bar or do anything else magic to try to get those bolts undone. So really, really digging on these. I don't know. I found out about these tools late in life, and that was before you could buy everything with the interface, the quarter hex impact thing. So now it's like I look for this solution first and then go from there. So we've got 2 of these. I've got the router that I use on the HM69 tank. That's another video. And then we've got 2 big batteries and 2 little batteries. I usually use the big battery for the router and then the little ones every time else because honestly, I'm weak. You know, it's like lifting these things so much. So yeah, we need to get rid of this and get another brushless one. And I tried to be cheap and save some money, and I really shouldn't have done that. Like, you know, we retail this tank for like $900. Actually, I think we raised it to 1,000 now, so we have to make more money to keep the doors open. Like, it's just, we raised our pay as much as we can. We're still not personally making enough, and it's like weeks. So everything costs more, and then therefore we have to raise our product's price. We feel bad, but that's how it works. So yeah, that's it for this tank. This is the MH900e with its recent to Georgia drain hole down here in the bottom of the battery well. It's actually there to give better flow between the 2 pieces where the mold meets. So it's not really there for a drain first, it's there to help give flow around that area, more consistent behavior. And so far that's worked out very well. So that's nice. Anyway, thanks y'all. I'm gonna take off, and I don't know if I'll be back again today or not. We'll see. But I definitely should film the arts and crafts craziness of fixing that gouge. I think folks will get a kick out of how crude that can be, but it works. It's good. So thanks again, Lyndon. And oh wait, you said blow molding. This is rotational molding. I'm trying to think where you could see it. On my Facebook, there are videos of me doing that. I know there are some on my Reddit. My user profile there, you type in, U/ for the user, then TS Krista. So I'm trans, so trans TS Krista. And on the posts, you can scroll back and there's videos. If you see something with this little person, me, in this great big oven, that's the rotational molding machine. And then, I don't know, some of them I talk about it I intend to do actual videos properly about the rotational molding machine. Um, we bought it used and it was in someone's parking lot for a decade, so I rebuilt it to get it working again. That was a lot of fun, a lot of PDFs, a lot of calling sales reps and asking, hey, how do I do this? And so that worked out all right. And it works. So yeah. All right. That sucks. I'm so bummed. All right. Well, anyway, happy Monday, Tuesday, and we'll see y'all next time. Hit end and bye bye.